Hey everyone, welcome to the Doc May Diet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian May. Every episode, I strive to break down and talk about the most relevant health topics and give you the basics so you have what you need to know and understand in order to live a healthy and happy life. So if you're listening, thank you. And thank you for trusting me to guide you along your journey of personal health and wellness. Also, if you're listening, feel free to share my message. Go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And also follow me on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Doc May Diet. Without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Welcome back, everybody. Doc May Diet Podcast, episode number 23. Today's guest is Tanner Shuck. Tanner grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was an athlete his whole entire life, and actually played Division I football. Now, once football was over, he wanted to continue in athletics, wanted to continue feeding that competitive desire, and he found himself in the world of CrossFit. Became a very successful competitor, competed in the Philippines, competed in Dubai, where he now lives full-time in Dubai, where he coaches people from all across the world, has now coached over thousands of people successfully online. Tanner is pretty much an expert in all things strength and fitness. You can check him out at truestrength.co. And you can also follow him on Instagram, which is what I did. I actually found Tanner because a website that I've been a loyal reader of pretty much since high school, tnation.com. He started writing for them. They did a spot on him, recommended we follow him, and I've been following him ever since. Like his content, and we had a really good conversation today. Really touched on everything from strength, fitness, bodybuilding training, old school methods versus new school methods, how to periodize your training, how you should eat properly, and how to keep things simple for people, the importance of tracking, and pretty much everything in between. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation. I enjoyed it very much. Here's the episode. So let's start there, Tanner. How did you first get involved with T Nation?
Hey, well, first off, Dr. May, I want to say thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I genuinely appreciate it. It's an honor. And just to answer your question directly, man, just like you, I've been a long-time reader of T Nation really since I was in high school. I've always really enjoyed training. It's always been kind of a passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And man, had been reading articles for them for years. And I thought to myself, I'm kind of at the point where I had quite a bit of experience as a trainer, and I had saw some of the content they were putting out, and I thought to myself, man, I could really like add value to their content just if I started making my own articles and content. And so really that's what I did. And it really started in January of this year of 2021 when I just made an article, I made a video with it, and I submitted it to them. And anybody can, I guess, write for T Nation, and they kind of pick and choose who they're going to choose to publish.
Right.
But that's how I got started, man. I just started like anyone else. I just literally wrote an article, made a video for it, and submitted it to them. And then I was fortunate enough to be published. And
Nice,
I've tried to be consistent, putting out articles for them. I try to write one like every 1 to 2 weeks when I find the time. So That's how I got started.
Very cool. Very cool. And I think I've seen you post in the past. You're a big fan of Christian Thibodeau?
Yeah, I do. I think so many people have read his articles. That guy's literally like an exercise encyclopedia. He's extremely knowledgeable guy, very scientific. He's probably forgotten more about training than I'll ever know.
Yep.
But I like Christian. I like Christian Thibodeau. Really like him. I like Charles Poliquin. I like a lot of kind of well-known, strength conditioning coaches. So yeah. I'm all about it. But yeah. Big Christian Thibodeau fan.
Yep, read pretty much every one of his articles. I think I tried all of his workout programs. They all work great.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. That's for sure.
Sure. What got you to move to Dubai?
So I'll keep that short as well. Basically, CrossFit. The way it worked is I finished up playing college football at Rice University in 2011, late 2011, 2012, and then I knew I didn't want to have a real job or do anything like that. I just had been an athlete basically my whole life, and I kind of wanted to figure out how can I continue living this kind of athlete lifestyle. And then I found CrossFit, and then that took me out to the Philippines just coincidentally. And so I was in the Philippines coaching CrossFit, and then I heard about this big CrossFit competition called the Dubai Fitness Championship, which is now the Dubai CrossFit Championship. And I heard about that competition. They were giving away a lot of prize money for, a competition. I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I flew to Dubai from the Philippines, did the competition, did well, and I was coincidentally or consequently given a coaching position to coach at a CrossFit gym here in Dubai. So that's how I ended up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just had
So
to stay out
basically
there.
CrossFit brought me here essentially.
Cool, man. That's cool. So on the CrossFit topic, I mean, CrossFit's a hot topic and a lot of, I mean, even on Two Nation, right? I mean, there's articles talking bad about it, talking good about it. So
For sure.
in your experience, what's the good end of CrossFit and what's the bad end of CrossFit? And what's the ugly, the good, bad, and the ugly, essentially?
All right. That's a good question, man. And I'll try to keep this short as well. I'd say the good about CrossFit that I really liked is it got like the mainstream, the majority of people to realize they need to work out hard and with intensity if they want to get results. Like CrossFit, they preach intensity and training with intensity. And there's a lot of truth to that. And also CrossFit was also good about, bringing like the main power lifts, just like squats, deadlifts, presses.
Right.
It got more people than ever to do just basic barbell compound lifts, which I think is great.
Yep. I've always said that about CrossFit. I mean, regardless of what, the injuries and all that, anything that gets the general population to A, go to the gym, and then B, go to the gym and do something besides like the elliptical for 10 minutes or do some like dumbbell curls, thinking they're going to lose 50 pounds. Anything that does that, I'm a fan of. So in that,
me too. So like take the like that I think it was what really, CrossFit, I mean, it kind of really took over. It became, worldwide. So I think that was really good. It really just got people to work out with intensity. I mean, and I just naturally gravitated towards it because I came from like a strength and conditioning background with football. So I've been training hard, basically the previous 5 to 10 years within high school and also with my strength and conditioning coaches in college.
Right.
So I fell right into CrossFit and I loved it.
And you're a competitor too.
Yeah. And like it allowed me a competitive outlet, to do. So that's what I really like to go about CrossFit. I'd say the bad about CrossFit is, and it's no fault of CrossFit. This is true of any, I guess, industry or anything like that. But there's a very low barrier to entry if you want to be a CrossFit trainer or a CrossFit coach, or if you want to open your own CrossFit gym, And so the quality of training in many places, it's a bit diluted. I'll just put it that way. It's like literally any person off the street could go be a CrossFit trainer. All they have to do is pay CrossFit $1,000, take a 2-day course that anyone really with half a brain can pass. And then they're a level 1 CrossFit trainer and they can open up their own CrossFit gym and they can start training, general population people. So that's my biggest issue with it is its lack of, I guess, quality of training. I mean, some CrossFit gyms are great. Some CrossFit gyms are not so great.
Depends on the trainer, right?
Yeah, it just depends on the trainer and the programming and the experience of that trainer. But so I'd say that's probably the toughest part is, like I said, the quality of training, and you never know what you're going to get on which CrossFit gym. Like I got to the point where I don't even really go into CrossFit gyms anymore just because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So that's one difficult part about it. I don't want to speak badly about CrossFit because I think it's done way more good than bad.
Definitely.
When you get inexperienced trainers or coaches programming CrossFit workouts, man, sometimes the results can not be great and people can do way too much. They can get hurt. I'm sure if you're a chiropractor, you probably deal with injured people, people getting injured from CrossFit all the time. I'm sure you love CrossFitters.
It's good for my business. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Probably keeps your business going. Right.
And speaking of the business, I mean, I get it from the business standpoint. I mean, you want to have as many gyms and keep your costs down for allowing people to like join the gyms as possible. But when you do that, like anything, the quality gets diluted. I mean, do you want to own a McDonald's or do you want to own like a standalone restaurant and, charge $300 a plate? It's a business model. I get it.
Yeah, it is, but that's the only thing. And then another issue I have with CrossFit is they need to really separate. And I think CrossFit has been doing this recently, but it gets lost because people just see the CrossFit Games athletes and see all the cool exercises and things they can do.
Yeah.
And people want to do that. Whereas, dude, if you're just an everyday general population person, you don't need to be doing Olympic lifting or high volume kipping gymnastics or anything like that. And you definitely don't need to be doing it if you have, no training experience whatsoever. Yeah. So you'll go into CrossFit gyms and they'll be teaching these on-ramp classes or foundations classes to people that have no business or no need to learn Olympic lifting or any kind of kipping gymnastics, and shouldn't be doing, because it's actually unsafe for them.
Yeah.
And that gets lost somewhere in the CrossFit certification process. I have no idea, but you get trainers teaching everyday general population people these things they have no business or no need to learn, when they really should just be focusing on teaching people very foundational basic movements and getting them stronger.
Yeah.
So I think CrossFit should do a better job of distinguishing between people that want to compete in CrossFit and then just everyday general population people that want to be healthy. And I think that the type of training and programming should definitely be different, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense to me. They should have basically 2 tracks, right?
Yeah, they really need just to have 2 tracks. And I think if most CrossFit gyms adopted that model, I think CrossFit would be so much better for everyone, for both everyday general population people and people that want to compete in CrossFit. So that's probably the good, bad, and the ugly. I'm sorry that was kind of long-winded.
No, that makes sense, man. I agree with all that too, for sure.
It's just common sense in my mind, but a lot of people, they don't see that.
Yeah. I mean, things change when you're trying to run a business, right?
Yeah, very true.
Yep. All right, man. So speaking of general population, just trying to lose weight, I saw you made a post a while ago, and to play devil's advocate, I want to challenge you on why you think that exercise isn't good for fat loss.
That's a fair question for sure, and I'll answer that. Exercise in general is not a great solution for fat loss because it's so much easier, because fat loss is literally just a calorie equation, calories in versus calories out.
Right.
And it's so much easier just to eat less food versus exercising more. So that's why, like, exercise, I wouldn't consider exercise the answer for fat loss. It's not the answer. It's a very slow and inefficient an ineffective way to try to lose weight. Whereas if you want to lose weight, man, just eat less food. Don't spend, mindless hours doing cardio. You don't need to do that. If you just literally get control over your food, you'll have much more success losing weight.
Yeah. I mean, what would you rather do? Spend like a half an hour jogging every day, or just like eat 150 less calories per day? Like, don't eat, like have one less piece of cheese, or like 2 less.
Yeah,
like,
there you go. It's so much easier. And like, you could like that's a good example. You could go do a half an hour of jogging every day, and I don't even know how many calories you're going to burn, but it's really not that much. It's not that much at all. And you'd be way better off just, having smaller portions on your meals, or just skipping a meal altogether. And it's just so much easier to, I guess, manipulate your diet versus manipulate how much you train if you want to lose weight. And that's, dude, eating less food or just changing how much you eat, that's a way more efficient and effective way to lose weight rather than just trying to exercise more.
Yeah. I mean, if you're already going at like a 10 out of 10 on the intensity scale on the gym,
how much more can you do, right?
Yeah, it hits a ceiling, right? There's a ceiling you hit faster with exercise and you hit faster with dietary modifications, in my opinion.
For sure. Where you'd get better results way faster if you simply just calculate how many calories your body needs to eat, and then just prioritize protein, and you lose weight so much faster.
Yep. So since we're on topic of diet, generally speaking, what does your diet look like?
Actually, it's funny you said that. I actually made a post about that literally today.
Okay.
The foods I eat, they really kind of stay the same all the time. Like, I always kind of eat the same foods. It's easy to me. It doesn't get boring to me. I always give my body the foods that are going to give me, I guess, the most value, the highest nutrient density. And so I eat quite a high protein diet. I eat way more protein than I technically need to, but I just prefer eating protein. I think that's the best macronutrient to consume. It's the best one to overconsume for sure, as compared to carbs.
It's the hardest to turn into actual body fat.
Yeah, it is. I mean, your body has to work harder to break down protein, versus fat or carbs. And protein's just the most satiating. So it's super hard to overeat on protein, but it's super easy to overeat on carbs or fats. And most people, they don't even realize that. And I'm just like, man, you should look at food as like, all right, what is this food about to do for your body? What's it going to do for you? Like, is that bag of chips going to help you as much as eating, lean chicken breast? Definitely not. A lean chicken breast is going to be way more beneficial for your body, but it's way easier to eat a bag of chips and, to keep eating, low quality carbohydrate food. So my diet, I eat high protein almost always, and low to moderate amounts of carbs and fats. That's right now. I mean, give and take, I have a broken ankle at the moment, so I'm not on my feet a lot, not moving. When I am training and I'm more active, then I'll definitely increase my carbs.
Yep. So yes, you modify the carbohydrate intake according to your weight loss goals.
Activity level. Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's just that should be taught in every school. And
it literally should. And it's honestly, it's a travesty. It's a travesty that the education system, or at least the American education system, doesn't place more of an emphasis on basic nutrition for people. And also, I think personal finance as well. Like, that's another thing that I think everyone should learn. But that's kind of another topic. But agreed with you, man. So I hope that answers what
they actually have a lot of similarities, right?
Dude, yeah, really, yeah. That's another analogy I use to a lot of people. Like, man, you probably keep track of how much money's going in and out of your bank account, right? Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to lose weight, just start keeping track of how many calories are going in and out of your body.
Yeah.
And if more people just understood that, they'd be so much better off. So,
people like us wouldn't be needed, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's very true, man. It's very true. I just try to keep it as simple as possible and try to dispel any of the myths about fat loss or weight training. This is really so simple when you get down to like the bare bones of it.
I know. At the end of the day, it comes down to get enough protein, be in a caloric deficit if you want to lose weight, and maybe throw in some exercise on top and you'll be all right.
There you go, man. Just, I'd say lift some weights, bare minimum. Just focus on building some muscle and getting stronger, and you'll be good to go.
So with your diet, do you track your macros?
Yesterday and today I did, just because I wanted to see where I was at. And I was actually around 2,500, between 2,500 and 3,000 calories. Mm-hmm. But I don't do it day to day because I eat so similarly most days. It's just automatic. And I don't even need to, like, I already know how much I'm eating.
Yeah.
You know, but
that's where people get tripped up, is like when you tell them like, all right, we're going to track your macros for just like a week, just to see where you're at, and then set it. And then you'll be good from there. People think they have to track and log every single day. And if that were the case, that'd be super overwhelming too. It's not doable. But if you're eating the same foods every day.
Dude, if you just do it 5 to 7 days, man, and you have an idea, I believe this I believe this wholeheartedly. If people just track their calories for 7 to 14 days, they would learn so much about food and their relationship with food. And it would teach them about how much food they're eating and how much food they actually need.
Yep.
So I'm a firm believer that everyone should track their calories for at least some point in their life, just for a short period of time, just for that learning experience. Like, no one's going to track their calories every day forever. That's complete, but tracking calories is a great, way to learn more about food and just your basic relationship with food.
Why do you think people are so hesitant to do so?
I think people are just mindless and lazy, and food is something that you just grown up with, and you're just like conditioned to just eat and not even think about it. Like, people will just mindlessly eat whatever, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and not even think about it. They just go eat, and food is it can have a very controlling effect on people, and their brain, and they'll crave things, and they just, it literally, people's addictions to food, they don't even realize they're addicted or they're craving things, but like, your brain will literally, it'll mess with you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep. So, there's so many things that go into it. There's hormones, which is the brain signals. There's family traditions, which are passed on. There's societal traditions. There's so much more to food. I mean,
people eat emotionally. Most people, they eat emotionally. Instead, they should eat intentionally.
Yep.
So that's the biggest problem. And that's what I try to teach people, like, eat more for purpose and eat less for pleasure. And they'd be so much more better off if they just ate like, dude, humans were animals like any other animal on this earth, right? Mm-hmm. If humans just ate more like other animals, the world would not be in an obesity epidemic.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
100% agree. Yeah. All my patients who do the best with their weight loss goals, guess who does the best? Those who track or those who don't track? Those who track.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And just, you should be able to look at a plate of food and know, all right, what are these foods going to do for my body? And is this a carb? Is this a fat? Is this a protein? Do I really need to be eating this? And so then you should ask yourself, why am I eating this? And what is this going to do for my body? Is this going to help me or is it going to hurt me?
Yep.
If more people just like ask themselves those 3 simple questions before they sat down and ate a meal, dude, they would be way better off.
Absolutely. So I saw you made a post the other day about vegetable oils. Why do you think it's important people avoid having vegetable oils in their diet?
All right. That's not going down another rabbit hole. So, dude, vegetable oils and seed oils, those are basically like toxic sludge and poison. They're not good for you at all. Yeah, they're super easy to cook with and they can make foods taste better, but they're an omega-6 fatty acid. They're oxidized, when you cook and eat them. Your body doesn't know what to do with them, and they cause a whole host of health problems, especially if you consume them over a long time. It's like a silent killer.
Yep.
Especially if you consume those, throughout your lifetime over the time, man, it's terrible for heart or anything like that. Vegetable oils, they've only been around since the 1940s.
Yeah.
Humans did not evolve eating processed vegetable oils, So, dude, they're just so bad for you on so many levels. And a lot of science and research is coming out. It's emerging, that it's known now that vegetable oils are bad, but they were marketed as heart healthy, by the American Heart Association or whatever, because it's quote unquote lowers cholesterol.
Yeah,
but dude, they're poison. And just avoid vegetable oils like the plague if you can. Like, I only cook with literally butter or clarified butter, which is just ghee, if that makes sense. It's butter with the lactose removed.
Yep.
Or I'll literally cook with beef tallow, which is just like animal fat.
Yep.
So I try to eat as much real, whole, natural food as possible, always.
Yeah, the vegetable oil is basically you're introducing a foreign substance into your body over and over,
your body,
and over again.
Literally, your body doesn't know what to do with it, man. And like, it's freaking terrible for you.
What does the body do but create that inflammatory response to help deal with that? So you keep eating this. This is how you become inflamed. This is how you develop metabolic syndrome, diabetes. It's a whole mess.
Exactly. Man, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, but she's done a lot of really good content creation and research, and she's much smarter than I am. But she had a really good quote, and she says, like, obesity, or she goes, adipose tissue, body fat, that's literally the organ of inflammation. So body fat is the organ of inflammation, and then lean muscle tissue is the organ of longevity. And she could not be more correct.
What's her name again?
Her name's Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
Okay.
You look her up. She puts out really good content on Instagram, and
you have to check her out.
Like that. Yeah, but she's really with it. She's on top of it. So really like her stuff.
Cool. All right, back to the exercise questions then. So there's different camps, right? There's like the strength camp, the powerlifting camp, and then there seems to be like the bodybuilding camp, right, for hypertrophy. So
yeah, man,
how do you tell if an exercise is better for strength or an exercise is better for hypertrophy?
Really, I'd say you might know the answer. This is super basic, but a lot of times the rep schemes and the intensity or the percentages, that's going to kind of dictate whether this is more of a strength stimulus or a hypertrophy stimulus. So generally speaking, if you're working in the rep range of 1 to 5 reps, your percentages are going to be anywhere between like 75 to like 95 or up close to your 1RM. You're going to be training more strength, more neural training, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then really anything over 6 reps, 6 to 12 reps, I would denote that as more like hypertrophy style training. Anything really above 12 reps, that's going to be, you can still get hypertrophy from that, but you classify that more as kind of, I guess, muscular conditioning. Yeah. Endurance. There you go. So like that in a nutshell is how I would explain to people the difference between programming for strength versus hypertrophy. Really, it's great to do both and go through both strength and hypertrophy phases in your training, I think. So
you do periodize your training, you go through different phases?
I do. I think for the vast majority of people, they probably don't need to periodize their training as much as they think they do. Really, what it comes down to, in my opinion, is just doing the basic lifts, doing them well, and just gradually getting stronger at those basic lifts, just incorporating progressive overload. And I think if you can do anywhere between 5 to 8 reps at a given exercise, then once you can do 8 reps quite easily with a certain exercise, then you're safe to add weight, and you can go back to 5 reps and then bump it up until you can comfortably hit 8 reps at a certain weight and then bump it up, but I like the 5 to 8 range, the 5 to 8 rep range for most people. And you should always kind of,
both, right? You get a little bit of
you get a bit of both.
Yeah.
You do. And it's safer. It's more sustainable. Like really, I think the training sweet spot for most people, even myself included, you need to be hovering in that kind of 65 to 85% like percentage range,
Mhm.
of your 1 rep max. You don't want to do too much training, above 85%. You don't want to do a lot of training below, 70, 65%, because it's not going to give you that much value. So, dude, any of the training you can do between really 65 and 85%, that's where the majority of your training should like fall into.
So typically speaking, if you're going to do like a strength training workout and you're trying to get your deadlift stronger, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to do like 5 sets of 1, 3 sets of 3? Like,
so this is a good question. I learned a lot specifically this year because my goal for 2021 was to get my deadlift up to 600 pounds. And I worked with a strongman coach who specializes, in strength, and he was more experienced in training purely for strength than I was. So that's why I wanted to work with him.
yeah,
And he put me on a very basic linear progression kind of powerlifting style program, where I would start off doing like kind of 5 sets of 5, then 4 sets of 4, 3 sets of 3, and then I'd work up to 2 sets of 2, and then maybe 3 sets of 1, and you'd literally just increase weight every week, working up close to like 90-95% of your 1 rep max, and the heavier you'd go, obviously the less volume you would do, because there's always going to be an inverse relationship between volume and intensity.
yeah, right.
So that was, dude, and like it was so basic. I was like, wow, this is such a basic approach, but I'd never done that with myself. And also I'd never really probably lifted to my true potential or true capacity, which is what I did with this coach. And that was a good learning experience for me, how basic getting stronger can be, and why kind of power lifters and strongmen, why they train the way they train. It when you look at it from like, when you sit back and look at it, it makes a lot of sense.
So I guess you kind of gotten away from the CrossFit style workouts and more into.
I've always been kind of hovering in between, man. So I love CrossFit and I'm good at CrossFit. And so I'll never probably get away from it, because I do really enjoy kind of the high intensity style of training.
Right.
But
Your background.
Yeah, I'll never get away from it. But I also realized if you get stronger, you're going to get better and really getting stronger makes you better at everything.
Yep.
And I thought, when I started training this year, like I was probably deadlifting around 505, 520 in that range, and that was just me doing my own programming. That's a respectable number for a CrossFitter, but I was like, dude, I want to deadlift 600. I want to go over that. And I knew if I wanted to deadlift 600, I probably needed to specialize a bit.
Yep.
And so I did get away from CrossFit a bit, because I knew, man, if I want to get stronger, I really need to focus on it, and getting strong takes time. So
yeah, and you can't be fatiguing yourself. You got to reserve the muscle stores. Yeah,
and that's one thing that's your CrossFit's notorious for, is overtraining. Not giving your body adequate time to recover, and you're kind of always performing at a kind of a sub maximal level. A lot of CrossFitters, man, they overtrain. They train too much, and so consequently, they can never train with the best intensity. Whereas you'd be way better off training less, being recovered, and then training with as much intensity as possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's kind of counterintuitive to what people think. They think more is always better.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dorian Yates, the bodybuilder, but
yeah,
dude, he kind of revolutionized training in a lot of ways for bodybuilding, and his high intensity method. It makes a lot of sense. Like, he would train really for 40 to 50 minutes at a time, and he would just go balls to the wall, basically for one set of each exercise, and then he'd be done. And he would train literally 3 or 4 times a week.
Right.
But,
A lot of that rest and clean.
Yeah, a lot of recovery, adequate recovery. But when he would train hard. Does that make sense? So
yep.
He wasn't doing, he was training with intention. He wasn't doing a bunch of mindless, superfluous training, because there was no need for that.
Yep.
So I kind of take a very similar approach with my own training, and I guess you'd call it CrossFit training. Like, I'd rather people train 4, maybe 5 days a week. They don't need to be doing multiple training sessions every day. And just when they train, when they work out, man, work out with as much intensity as possible.
Yep.
Instead of just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, it's setting to see somebody actually make the decision to lose weight, exercise, and then they go too far the opposite direction, where they're doing too much and they become carb phobic and they're not eating any carbs. And then guess what? They feel like shit because their thyroid crashes, their immune system crashes, and then they think, oh, well, exercise isn't for me. There's a million and one reasons why so many people are overweight and obese, and why it's hard to be healthy in this country. And that's why it's up to us to help spread these messages.
Like kind of spread the knowledge, and just like, man, if people could just start living, I guess, more like we used to live like 100 or 200 years ago, you'd be so much better off. You just literally move your body more, eat more real whole foods, and lift some weights, and man, you'll be so much healthier than probably what you are now. It's just that's kind of that simple.
I always say everything like in diet makes sense if you look at it through the lens of evolutionary biology.
Dude, absolutely. Like, I'm a huge believer in looking at things like through evolutionary biology, and just, to me, it's common sense, but then you'll get people that want to do studies on every little thing and all this kind of stuff and make everything way more complicated than it needs to be.
And
I'm just like, man, it doesn't need to be that hard. And again, I use myself, for my own anecdotes. I've always been lean, muscular, and healthy, for really the past, since I was a kid. But I've always lifted weights. I've always ate good food, and it's just something that's like became very natural to me. It's just very habitual, so it's super easy to me because it's so ingrained into me. It's automatic.
Right.
But if you can just learn to change people's habits, to doing things right, they'll realize, wow, it makes a lot of sense to eat healthy and exercise. That's how humans evolved, for sure. Being active and eating real whole foods.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. So I did a poll recently, and because I noticed just amongst me and my friend groups and my colleagues, I feel like the majority of people just want to go in and do like random stuff, as opposed to me, who's very scientific and very programmed, and I track and I measure. Where do you fall within that? Do you think people can get away with just doing Orange Theory classes or CrossFit classes, or do they need to really track and measure their own progress?
All right, man. I'm going to lean 100% on your side. I'm very systematic, and that's the best way to go. Like, dude, people doing these Orange Theory classes or just showing up randomly to CrossFit classes or whatever group fitness classes, it's certainly better than nothing, and I'm happy they're exercising. But if they actually really want to get results and a noticeable difference to get stronger, build muscle, whatever, get leaner, man, you need to be following some kind of structure or program. You're going to be so much better off. Like, literally, if you just did 5 exercises only for the rest of your life and just got stronger at those 5 basic exercises, you'd be better off than 99% of people that go to gyms and do whatever they're going to do. But have a plan, follow a structure, and you can kind of change that plan as you go on. But really, there's just foundational movement patterns that every person needs to do. And you need to do those foundational movement patterns for the rest of your life, or just slight variations of those movement patterns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's frustrating to see people go to the gym not every day, but consistently for 5 years, and they never change.
They look the same, man. They look the same. I made a piece of content about that. It's people that train. The piece of content was called "Idiots and Pussies," and that's may not the most appropriate name, but people train like idiots. They just go in there with no plan and just do whatever feels good that day, or they're going to train like a pussy or someone that they're not going to get out of their comfort zone. They're not going to push themselves at all.
Intensity is going to be very low.
Yeah. And literally, you have to, if you want your body to change, you have to give your body a reason to change. That's why taking a systematic approach, and incorporating progressive overload in your programming is extremely important. If you're incorporating progressive overload, your body's going to be forced to change, and you're going to be forced out of your comfort zone and forced your body to adapt and grow bigger and stronger or better or leaner or whatever your goals may be. So definitely take a systematic approach, follow a program, find a good coach, a good trainer that knows what they're doing, and stick to it.
Follow you on Instagram, right?
Yeah, they certainly could, man. I preach the same message all the time. So basically, I just say the same thing over and over and over again, and I try to just try to say the same thing differently, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Different avenues, different methods to get the same message across.
Yes, sir.
I think I read somewhere people need to hear something 7 times before they actually before
it might sink in
and learn it.
Yeah, that's dude. I believe that for sure.
So I don't know if you saw this, but like when I made an Instagram account, I think like back in May, pretty new. One of the very first things I noticed was I come from a camp, in the chiropractic realm, the health realm, alternative health realm of like quality over everything. So like quality of food. So like avoiding highly inflammatory foods like gluten, for example. And
Yep.
then when I made the account, I started following a lot of fitness influencers. They were all about quantity. It's just like doesn't matter what you eat as long as the macros match up, right? Like the calories match up. So I'm trying to basically marry the two of them because the answer lies
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle. So I want to know which
It
side of the
certainly
spectrum you
does.
fall on.
Man, again, I'm gonna be kind of somewhere in the middle because there's been numerous scientific studies that showed like fat loss is equal, if calories are equal, so
Right.
calories are king, calories are king no matter what. Like
Mhm.
if you're eating 2,000 calories of steak or 2,000 calories of Krispy Kreme donuts, you're going to lose weight eating both. But which one is going to make you feel better, more satiated, and is going to give your body more nutrients?
Right.
Obviously, the steak. So, like, it's can't be all about calories, but calories do have to be equated for. Does that make sense?
That's what I always say.
So, like, this is what it upsets me about a lot of fitness influencers or people like they'll just say it doesn't really matter what you eat, it just matters, how much you eat. And it certainly does matter how much you eat. But, and this is why I like telling people, track your calories for 7 to 14 days, realize, learn your maintenance calories, how much food your body actually needs, track that, for 7 to 14 days. That's the first thing. Don't change what you eat. Just start
Yeah.
tracking,
Take it a, take it a
how
baseline.
much you're eating
Exactly.
and start eating in a caloric deficit and you will start losing weight. Then after you do that, then focus on improving the quality of foods you eat and just start eating real whole natural foods and prioritizing that and try to avoid, as much packaged or processed foods as possible. And then once you do that and you start eating more real whole foods, you'll realize you don't need to track your calories anymore because real whole foods, they're going to send your body all the right signals. They're going to, all your satiety signals, they're going to be satisfied, if that makes sense. They'll keep you feeling full. You'll feel good. You'll have energy and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say calories are probably the first thing you need to worry about, but then a close second is quality of food. And they're definitely married, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
definitely.
But
Because it's going to be
so
easier to follow the right caloric plan if you're eating the right quality foods.
absolutely, man. Like, dude, it's super hard to overeat on steak and vegetables. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
steak and fruit.
You
Like you're not gonna be
get
in a
fat.
caloric
You can
surplus.
get fat eating paleo, but it's going to be damn hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because, dude, those real whole foods, dude, that's going to send your body all the right signals, and your satiety hormones are going to be like, all right, I've had enough food, I don't want anymore, and you'll be good to go. But, dude, if you're eating processed junk, those throw off your body's satiety signals and hormones, and it just makes you craving, makes you feeling tired and always wanting more
Like the
junk.
insulin crashes and you need some
Yeah,
more, that negative, that roller.
bro, it's a vicious cycle. Yeah, it's literally that negative feedback loop. So
Exactly.
I'd say calories first, and then a close second is quality of calories.
But like you said, that they're intertwined for sure.
They really are, man. They really are.
Yeah, and back to one of your points earlier about studies. Like, trust me, man. I live and die by research papers. The studies you
Yeah,
gotta
dude,
go by
you're
them.
a doctor.
But at the end of the day, like I said, put it in the lens of evolutionary biology, and does it make sense from that perspective?
No, absolutely not. So again, you're way more educated than I am, but I think if we both look at it just from a practical evolutionary standpoint or common sense,
That's it.
it's like, man, it doesn't take, you don't have to be super educated. You don't have to have a degree in nutrition or nutrition science or anything like that to know how to eat healthy, in my opinion.
Yep. If you just look at it through that lens, man, you'll be all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, speaking about your account, your fitness account, what do you find has helped most, like gain popularity, gain traction? Like, what are some of your most popular things? What resonates the most with people, in your opinion?
Man, I work really hard at putting out quality content as much as I can. And my following's not even that big. I have like 18.3 thousand followers. So it's not that much. And it's kind of frustrating because I'll see a lot of Instagram accounts of other fitness influencers that have way more following, but the quality of their content is, in my opinion, not great.
Right.
Or they don't put nearly as much effort as I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's given me, I guess, more credibility is kind of what we started the conversation off with, is I started writing articles for T Nation. They've posted me on their Instagram account numerous times.
Yep.
So I've gotten followers from that. And just posting consistent quality content, I think is important too. And if you keep doing that, man, your following is gradually going to grow. And man, like that's really what I think about, or I try to, whenever I make a post or a piece of content, I think, all right, what kind of value is this going to bring my following? Like, I don't really want to post that many videos of me doing my workouts or anything, because that no one really cares about that. And that doesn't really help that many people. No. So I'd much rather make some kind of educational post. And I've experimented doing that in a variety of ways. And I even make these silly little Instagram skits, where I have I have an alter ego, and so I try to deliver some kind of informative or educational message in a funny, sarcastic way. So people will find it entertaining, but also educational. Gotcha. So I've had good luck with that, but I think being on T Nation's helped me a lot. I probably, I got some followers every time they post me. I'll get some followers from that. Yeah. Because they have such a large following. So
right. They're more like the OGs.
Yeah, they really are, man. That's why I like T Nation. Like, they've posted so much good stuff over the years. Mm-hmm. I've learned so much from them. I was like, man, I kind of want to write for them and also help other people, because I learned so much from them.
Right.
So, and they have a lot of articles on there. Not all of them I agree with, or not all of them I read, right, but they have a lot of really good ones as well. So you just have to sift through them and find out what articles you like and what authors you like reading.
Yeah. I find myself reading the same authors over and over again.
Yeah, generally.
Cool, man. Well, hey, you've been doing a great job, man. Keep it up. I appreciate all the posts.
Oh, well, dude, I appreciate that. My goal is to get an article written tomorrow, so cool. I'll keep contributing as long as people are going to keep reading them. So right, I appreciate that.
All right, Tanner. So somebody comes to you and they're like, "All right, Tanner, we're on an elevator. What are 3 things I can do to look my best?"
Sorry, Dr. May, could you repeat that? You cut out. I didn't hear you. What did you say exactly?
So you're on an elevator with somebody, right?
On an elevator. Okay. Yeah,
you have like a minute with them, and they ask you, Tanner, what are 3 things I can do starting tomorrow to look and feel my absolute best?
Oh, easy, man. Calculate your maintenance calories. Learn how many calories your body burns each day. Then I would tell them the second thing, eat according to your goal. So if you want to lose weight, be in a deficit. If you want to gain muscle and weight, be in a surplus. If you're happy where you are, be in a maintenance. And the second one is kind of a part of the second one. Just I would tell them to prioritize protein every time they eat. And then the third thing I would tell them, start lifting weights and focus on getting stronger.
Yep. Makes sense.
So dude, learn how many calories your body needs, eat according to your goals, and resistance train. Those are the 3 biggest things I would tell someone in an elevator if I had to, give them the 3 best takeaways on how to change their physique or feel better or get healthier.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, man. Last question. So besides obviously looking better, feeling good, what's your favorite exercise or benefit of exercise besides just looking good?
Dude, how I feel and how my body feels and how I perform. I've really never trained for aesthetics or anything like that. I've always trained for function and performance. It's just kind of so happens that, I guess having a lean and muscular body coincides with that. Mm-hmm. And I've never trained to look good. It's a nice byproduct, but I've always trained, and I love high intensity training because it's a challenge every time. And I think it builds a lot of mental resilience, and physical resilience as well, if you're going to train hard. And I'm addicted to endorphins, if I'm being honest. And I think exercise is the best way to relieve stress.
Yep.
And it's an extremely healthy thing to do. And I'll gladly say, like, I'm addicted. I'm literally addicted to exercise, and I think that's a healthy addiction. So
could definitely go too far in the extreme. Like I said, if you're not supporting and recovering enough, but you know what you're doing.
You certainly can. You absolutely can. But I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've made every mistake there is to make, and I think that's how you learn. So I've definitely evolved and grown and changed my way of training, and I still train really hard, but I'm more strategic about it, and I prioritize rest more. But yeah, I'd say, man, the stress relief and the mental endorphins you get, and the fact that you can work towards a goal, you know, like whatever goals you may have, like I think that's a great thing of exercise.
And that helps mentally so much, just having a goal to strive for, right?
Absolutely, dude. It helps people. It helps you build more confidence. It makes you happier, man. Like the benefits of exercise are literally endless. They're endless, you know.
Yep.
And just looking good is just one of them. But feeling good, performing good, confidence, everything, man. It really carries over into all aspects of your life, I think.
Yep. Yeah. The darkest days of my life are always those where I've had various autoimmune issues in the past, and
Okay.
they've taken me out of the gym one time for 2.5 years. And
Yeah.
the depression and anxiety I was going through just for not being able to exercise, man, I don't wish that on
Man,
anyone.
I know. No, definitely not. Like literally, I'm addicted to it so much. Like I have a broken ankle right now. I'm on crutches. I can't walk, but I'll eat breakfast when I wake up. And then the first thing I do is I hop on my assault bike with one leg and I'll bang out like 50 calories on my assault bike with one leg, just because I need that endorphin release in my brain to get me motivated and start my day, you know, and it's healthy, man. Like, dude, you want to get your heart pumping and you want to breathe. It's just good for you. Everyone should do it.
Yeah. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed today's conversation. We ran into some technical difficulties at the end there. We kind of got cut off. Tanner and I could have talked for hours longer, but unfortunately, I actually had to run out and treat patients for the day. So I hope you really enjoyed today's conversation. Once again, check Tanner out on Instagram. Also, his website is truestrength.co. Follow him on Instagram. You guys love his content like I did. All right, we'll see you next week.